We are live and so happy to be here with you. I've got another special guest and a conversation I think is so relevant, so needed, so of the time. I am going to, well, I'll introduce the topic afterwards. Why don't I first introduce you, Sarah, and have you tell
Sure.
everybody a little bit about you and your work, and then I can introduce the topic and we can dive in from there.
Absolutely, Kim. I'm so happy to be here. And hi, everyone. Substack's my fave. I just
Right.
love it so much. So, Kim and I, we've been getting to know each other, Kim, just more recently, and have so much alignment and synergy. And I've been teaching and coaching people in thought leadership for the last 20 years. So, helping mission-driven leaders who have something important, a methodology, a story, an expertise, and I help people turn that into best-selling books, TEDx talks, keynote speaking, podcast tours, really anything under the umbrella of thought leadership so that we can write, speak, and scale our movements and our impact, our revenue. And that's what I've been specializing in and still do very, very happily and gratefully for quite a long time. And also in the last 18 months, I felt just this incredible pull. And I'm guessing anyone here, if you're on live with us, I wonder if you ever have this, like you just know something is calling you to kind of shift or change or evolve. In this case, it was an ad, it was an evolve, but really to dive into as the world accelerates and throttles into so much AI, I won't say dependency yet, but AI isms and AI world, that I wanted to really dive into the future of thought leadership. Really, what is the frontier of creativity, of innovation, of how we make sure that we are still going to our human intelligence and cultivating that divine intelligence, creative intelligence, whatever we want to call it, while we are availing ourselves of all the incredible advancements that are happening. So it's not an either or, it's an and there are some startling studies going on that show us what we really want to be paying attention to, those of us that are leaders, that are experts, that are authors, visionaries. There's some really important, we're kind of at a threshold to make some important choices that are going to have big ramifications. And so that's just what's consumed me for the last 18 months.
Yeah, and I think we have so much overlap there because my work in a very different way is very much centered around both my own thought leadership, but also how am I supporting my clients with their thought leadership. And the title of this, getting known and paid as a thought leader, and how to have your voice be heard in this world that is, we are wanting to hear that term that gets thrown around, authenticity, and I think misheard or misused so often. And I'm supporting clients with that, but I think that has always been a challenge. And I think even before AI, that's been a challenge just in terms of being in the online space where we are, as soon as we plug in, right, we're plugged into other people's voices and we hear other people's thoughts. And I think my coach says to be a thought leader, you have to have space for your own thoughts. And now that we have AI being brought into that, I think it is just getting more challenging and it's more important than ever. And it's what I think we're really seeing separate if you want to get known and
For
paid in
sure.
our space. And so I think you're such a great person to bring on for this and to have this deeper conversation. And just hi to everybody who's here. I've just seen so many lovely names
Hi.
here. Just hello, hello. As we're chatting, please feel free to chime in. We are words of affirmation people. And if you have questions, but maybe this is a good place to start the conversation because you have been doing such a delve when you were talking about the studies there and just in terms of how you are seeing AI and as you're talking about creativity and as you're talking about that need for thought leadership, how are you seeing things shift and how are you seeing that play a role? I would just love to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So again, this is not about being, like a resistor of, anything that's happening in the world, but
Totally.
it is having us be intentional and conscious about what we're choosing for the future we want to see for ourselves, for our own health and our brains and our fulfillment and our own destinies, but also for everyone we serve, because everyone who's here in your channel, Kim, you're leaders and you're serving people, whether your family, your clients, the readers of your work, the viewers of your work when we're making video content, right? So let's just do, you touched on something already that's really important. So your coach or your mentor was telling you about, if you're going to be a thought leader, you need to make space for your own thoughts. And while we might say, duh, to quote my
Mhm,
15-year-old son, duh, but let's think about that, because even before this enormous progression of AI and acceleration of it, there were major challenges with creating space for our own thoughts. I'll own that completely. I went to multiple masterminds and wrote on my action list more white space, and then I wouldn't do it.
Mm.
I wouldn't do it, and I know how important, I mean, I would do it a little bit, but not at
Mhm,
the, like,
mhm, mhm,
extent that I know would
mhm,
really benefit me bringing in, like, the bigger, more important, deeper work that I wanna contribute to the world
mhm,
that will serve people. And so why was that? This is even before it was so tempting to just, like, grab, "Hey, Claude," "do my thing for me." Okay, why? Well, because we have major cognitive overload. We're asked to make
mhm,
tens of thousands, someone quoted 35,000 conscious decisions every day.
mhm.
That's an appalling amount, right? That alone dysregulates our nervous system, puts us in cognitive overload. Then we have political stuff, we have world stuff, we have economic stuff, we have just all kinds of things. And then you add, this acceleration of a technology that, people either fear or become obsessed with, right? And so you've got that. So, I mean, we can give a lot of compassion to our sweet selves for saying, actually, this is a lot. And we're often in triage mode. We're just often in like, let me just get the thing done. I got to get this
Yep,
email out. I got to launch this
yep,
thing. I got to show up for this.
yep,
Whether we're taking care of children, pets, parents, our businesses, whatever it is, right? So it was already a challenge to have white space. And then we have just this absolutely unending availability to be consumers, not creators. Again,
yep,
that's been going on
yep,
for a while
yep,
now.
yep,
It is limitless channels, limitless
yep,
platforms, limitless content, and it is easier, let's be honest, it's freaking easier to listen to someone else's audiobook than write our own. It's
yep,
easier to watch someone else's video than get
mhm,
a camera out and, like, think of what it is
yep,
easier. So
yep,
we are it's like the tide goes to consume versus create,
yep,
and it is an intentional, like, effort. That's why people have written lots of books like Stephen Pressfield on the war of art and
yep,
everything.
yep. Cal Newport,
Thing, right?
deep
Cal
work.
Newport, deep
Mhm.
work. It's not the easy, convenient thing. And Bob Dylan said this quote that has been with me the whole time of writing this, the book, the download that's coming out, because he talks about, we're a society that runs for convenience and repents later.
Yep,
And that's where we are, right? It's like
yep,
we are just like, "Oh my god, this thing can write my articles, this thing can play." So again, it's not about not using it, but it's deciding when to use it and for what purpose and, like, at what cost in that particular task, right? So that's the before AI. Now we add AI into this mix, and then we're getting into something, like, completely wild, because we now have not only all the same reasons to not have white space, but we have a thing right in our phone that can kinda do everything for us, and we just have this experience of, oh, well, again, that's easier. I'm already overwhelmed, I'm tired, I'm on fumes. And sorry if that froze there for a minute.
you're
Hopefully
a
the
little
audio,
frozen, but I can still hear you.
if the audio is working, then I just have a horrible picture, but sorry everyone. But it looks like it's coming back on.
It's coming back. We can hear you.
Coming back.
The
So
robots are just mad at us,
the
talking truth
robots are
about
like, "Don't
AI.
talk about me like that." Don't look, I love Claude, I love ChatGPT, all the things. But, and so then we even are more seduced into thinking like, "Oh my god, that thing can come up with a better strategy, a better article, a better whatever." And so anyway, where we are is just we're very quickly moving, and we've already seen it, into a sameness epidemic, right? Like when evaluators look at content, art, books created, writing created by, ChatGPT, the evaluators at the MIT study called it soulless.
Yep, yep.
That was the
It the
pronouncement. And
soulless.
so
Yep,
soulless. So
yep,
if we are committed as leaders to put a heartbeat and put a soul into what we do, whether it's an event, a podcast episode, an article, a book, whatever it is, a TED talk, then it is going to take that discipline, like it does to work out, like
yep,
it does to eat better food, like it does to do any of the things that aren't the easy, fun, instant
yep.
gratification, but that are going to be the worth it in the end. And this is where you, and I gave a long answer and I'll stop here, but like this is the separation moment, because
This is absolutely the separation moment. Ooh, I think you froze.
yeah, I know. It's I am definitely getting a new internet system for Substack. It's like or
It's great. It's great. We got you back. We got you back. But I think you were saying this is the separation moment, and so
yes.
I'll just chime in there. What I'm really seeing, I think it's been a separation moment even before AI. I think that thought leadership and that ability to stop and think for yourself, and what you're touching on, I think a couple of thoughts that came up for me. It's that whole idea of choose your hard now so you can have easy later, and most of us want to choose easy now, but then you have hard later. I think AI has only added to that. Again, we use AI in my business. There are places and uses
Of
for it.
course.
But what we're talking about when we're thinking about thought leadership, and you have to create space for thoughts and not being the same and not just having thoughts, you have to actually do the metacogitating, the thinking about thinking, the hard, it actually takes calories to think. Our brain resists it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
there's so much resistance. So anytime we're given, it's like junk food, right? If I'm trying to get in shape and there's junk food available,
Yeah.
I always want to reach for the junk food and the quick fix, but that's not going to give me the long-term
Yes.
health that I want. And I think we're seeing the same thing here. And the other thought that came up for me, and I'd be curious your thoughts, because I think this probably ties into the authenticity piece as well. I
Mhm.
think when we're looking at something like thought leadership also asks us to be brave. It asks us, I mean, the whole, I think so much of what you teach is that means having a thought before somebody else and leading. Leading means going first. It means doing the scary thing. It means saying the thing before somebody else has it. It means maybe saying the thing somebody else hasn't thought before. That not only takes time and space to come up and develop that thought, which they have also in the studies, which I think you touch on, AI has been shown to diminish our ability to think and come up with new thoughts. And we could talk
It's
about like
harrowing,
it's
truly
it's
to the
it's
point
terrifying.
that we are gonna accelerate dementia and
It
Alzheimer's
it's
with this
really,
pattern.
really scary.
It's and many other cognitive, neurological, other
Yep,
it's not even now just about, like, that the content will be slop.
yep.
It is
No,
actually
it's
about the
this, it's actually
atrophy
our brain
of
function
our
is
brain functioning.
mhm.
It's very scary, honestly, if you
It's very
look at the
scary.
work, and again, I'm doing the unpopular, like, everyone now is like, "You know what sells out right now?" There was a woman that just did, like, a $10 million launch. She did an eight-figure launch selling an AI boot camp, and, to be here talking about human intelligence and creative intelligence, like, that's not the sexy
But you know what
topic.
else is sexy? If I tell you how you can get overnight results in the gym,
Right.
I can do I'm gonna humble brag. I can do 8 unassisted pull-ups. Do you wanna know that is so sexy. You wanna know what? That is not an overnight result. That means I have been busting my butt in the
Yes.
gym, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, we all want the sexy results without the sexy work, and I think that's
Right.
why selling AI is so sexy.
Of
And
course.
again, I'm not a like, I don't wanna be Luddite, I don't wanna be left
Yeah,
behind.
right.
We are using it, we are educating ourselves. So what you're saying, it is not to go too far down the, like, fear-mongering, but it is, to use your word, harrowing, what the brain scans have shown. And I've had clients where, if this is just helpful for people to hear, I work with clients one-on-one. I've had clients who are brilliant and great ideators come to session, and I ask them something, and they can't come up with an idea, and they can't, and I'm like, "What's going on? Have you been using AI a lot?" And they're like, I'm addicted to it. I'm like, I'm absolutely, and I'm noticing how we have to put them on a detox because they're actually having a hard time pulling
Yes.
up ideas of their own.
Yeah.
So to bring it back to the conversation, because
Yeah.
I'll take us down the
I'm
bad
you're
stuff
preaching
here.
to the right choir with me. Yeah.
But but I think to a lot of your work with the thought leadership is also, it does ask us to be brave and vulnerable and to do those things. And so I think that is just also a mindset component of that can be scary. That can be an edge. And so when we have these things that basically say, but I will just yes you, and you don't have to think for yourself, and you don't have to come up with the idea, and you
Right.
don't have to come up with something new. I think that there is just something so, to use the word sexy, alluring in that. So not to make anyone wrong, I think is what we're both saying. It
Of course.
makes sense that we all want to gravitate towards these things. It makes
Yes.
sense someone made $8 million.
Right. Right. And again, that's not a bad thing. Like you said, I love automating with AI. I love using it to do tasks that aren't going to be, but I do
Yep.
ask, this is a really basic, I learned this from my son's teacher at school. Why try then AI? And the idea is to ask, why are we doing a task? If it's for me, this is just
Mhm,
my
mhm,
test and it doesn't
mhm.
need to be anyone else's. If it's strategic thinking, if it's creative in any way, if it's
Mhm.
about making something, I go first to I do my download practices, right? That I go and get that from and you know why we don't like it? Because it's messy at the beginning and it's not good. Like our first draft, our first
Yeah.
thought is a lot of times we're not pleased with it versus like some, robot can spit out something more polished and we go, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to deal with my," but then like what's at stake and what it's a use it or lose it. And so if I didn't do that deeper, wrestle with the beginning, I won't get to like to your point of authenticity, the gem. And this is the season again when like we're going to see the diamonds. There's going to be a lot of coal. and
Yep.
some diamonds, and
Yep.
you're all here to be the diamonds. We're here to bring forth diamonds for people, and like the true glinting, beautiful reality. No one can replace soul. No one can replace heartbeat. No one can replace unique storytelling. And even if you've taught your thing to, talk like you and all and fed it your books and fed it, it's fine. And again, use it for all the stuff that you don't want to spend your time doing. But when it's this stuff, when it's your thought leader time, and I even teach habit stacking. So no one even has to spend more time doing this downloading white space work. You can bundle it with working out. You can bundle it with when you have to drive. If you drive, you can bundle it with walking your dog. It can be bundled just fine in things we do. So the kind of, I don't have time for the white space like you do. We all do.
Yeah, and I would argue you don't have time not to in some
Yeah.
ways as well, is just something I think about a lot, but there are moments my shower is my white space time. I mean, there
Yes.
there are times it doesn't have to be grinding it out. I think we think the antithesis of AI means we're now working so hard. And again, I don't wanna go too far down
Sure.
that rabbit hole because I wanna hear your download process and share that with everyone. But just to what you were saying, what I've even noticed with AI is how easy it is for us to create extra work that we would have never even done in the first place. And so not only does it rob us of our thought leadership, but it's I just don't anyway, I'm gonna park that over
We'll
here.
park. We'll go back to
We'll
that
go back,
parking lot
but
after.
I want to hear the download process, but before that, just to speak to this authenticity piece, because you just
Yeah.
said something I think really brilliant that I want to bring back around when we are just automatically outsourcing the hard work, right? The work I had to do to get to that first pull up, the part that does feel like, oh, it's messy and it's when I write my Substack article and there's
Right.
all these ideas and I'm like, oh, I like it's not always the most fun, even if you like the creative
No.
process. When we outsource that and when we rob that, what you said is we miss getting to that moment, that magic moment, that like point of like where the thought leadership truly lives, where that
Yes.
authenticity lives. And
Yes.
I would just love to hear just a little bit more around that and what you think about in terms of like what true authenticity actually is, because I
Right.
think that's the piece people actually want to hear from us.
Totally. Well, let's think about it because that's what we're tapping into when we don't outsource again to people, to other people's systems, to it doesn't matter what we're out. So when we insource, right,
Love
which
that
is
word.
what we're doing here, right? When we insource, then what happens is we realize that we have access to all the genius, all the brilliance, all of the uniqueness, which is authenticity, right? I think I'm lagging a little, so tell me if the sound
No,
lags.
you're
If the
perfect. You're
picture
perfect.
lags, we're
Nope.
good. But what happens is it's not only euphoric because for me, when I do break
Yes.
through, it's just like you talked about with working out, right? It's like there's that point you feel like you're going to die. I can't. My muscles hurt. My lungs are burning. I can't do it, and then you do. You find out what you're made of. You bring forth something
Yes.
of yourself, and I'm a person who, when I leave this earth, and I hope it's a long time from now, but, I wanna leave it all in the field. Like, I wanna have known I have brought forth every gift I could possibly bring forth to give. I've done any contribution I'm here to make. I wanna have left it on the field, and that requires, like you said, it's the scarier work. It's the skinny branches. It's the uncomfortable, like, "I don't know what I'm doing. I feel imposter syndrome. I don't have it all together. I don't have it all figured out." But that's where, like you talk, the magic and authenticity comes from a human that is willing to go there and then bring back. It's the shero's journey, the
Yep.
hero's journey. Bring back
Yes.
what we learn from that uncomfortable, messy,
Yes.
insecure, like raw, void place, and then bring something back to the tribe. That is in our DNA. It is wired in us from biology, neurology. That is the hero's journey. We're all here to be. We're all the hero, and we're here to inspire the others and our other heroes and sheroes in the way that we are here to encoded to do. And we can't get to those unique things. I had a writing teacher once say he had us all like look at our palm of our hand, and he said, "The stories you're here to tell, and this could be for your expertise that you're here to share, is encoded in your DNA." Like it is
Love
written
that.
into you. And he was not like a woo guy, he doesn't like reading palms. He just meant like it no one else can bring forth that Elizabeth Gilbert calls it the big magic. And we
Mhm.
can't get the big magic unless we insource, unless we go to download from our human intelligence, our right brain. We are addicted to the left brain. We're addicted to it. We are addicted to the, oh, it's logical,
Yep,
it
yep,
makes
yep.
sense. And this is again Einstein. I quote this all the time because I think about it in this work. and if it froze again, sorry, I'm
No, no,
checking.
you're right, you're right.
Okay, good. Einstein said, I'm going to paraphrase, but something like, we were designed for imagination, the right brain, creativity to be the master, and logic to be the servant. And we've entered an era, and this was Einstein in the 60s saying this, so think what he would feel now. We've entered an era where we have forgotten the master and we worship the servant.
Yeah.
And that's what we're just addicted to, that it makes sense. I can touch it. I can prove it. And the magic is in the imaginal. It's in the right brain. It's in the thing that hasn't been said before. That's authenticity. It's authenticity to bring forth and to show people that you don't know, that you're scared, that you feel, I mean, I like a leader who's going to share like their process.
Absolutely. I think sometimes it's also the most trust forming. I think I sometimes get the most trust with people when I'm like, hey, here's the messy middle, or here's the process, or here's the
Right.
thing I'm not sure of. Because then when I say I am sure on something, right, you
Yes.
can also trust and believe that, and there's a confidence. No, nobody trusts all the time. Nobody doesn't have fear. I don't know, as fear is, if you don't have fear, I don't know what psychological disorder that is, but that is a disorder, right? Like
Yes.
or you have a part of your amygdala missing, and you are the crazy guy who's doing the
Right.
climbing, the
Jumping off
scaling the
the sides
buildings,
of
and
mountains.
right,
Yeah.
like, but otherwise we are wired to have fear. That is just such a normal human process, and it is such a process of what you're speaking to, that magic moment. It makes me think so much of flow. And I don't know if you've read that book, but even if you think about that flow state, I got goosebumps when
Yes.
you were saying that, which is the, I don't know, I'm an ex-actress creative, but like being in flow state is like, feels amazing, but that comes from doing focused kind of hard work. It's what we get when we're in that focused work after some challenge.
Yes.
You don't get a flow state from talking to Claude. I
No,
mean, love
no,
me some AI, again, not be mad at it, but like
no.
that is not where flow state comes from. So I think just even from a personal fulfillment
Yeah.
level, we're missing that. But then think about what that, again, what you're saying, what people are craving and how it
Yeah.
connects us. We miss that.
Yeah.
There's what's the book? It's like The Right Brain. It might be Daniel Pink. I think it's Daniel Pink, but he
Oh, yeah.
basically talks about the different eras. You were starting to touch about this on left brain, right brain. And we had the industrial era. We had these
Right.
different eras. And I think to what you're speaking to and to what that book speaks to, I bet we're going to go into not just an AI era. I think there's going to be a huge divide. We're also going to go into a right brain era where, especially as we see people's creativity and ability to tap into that magic, that flow, that
Yes.
innovation, that original thought, we're
Yeah.
going to see that atrophy. And I think the people who are deepening that
Yeah.
are going to thrive. And that is going to be an era where that is the most
Completely.
valuable, like what we will pay and prize the most for, because it's going to be the most limited resource, I think.
It's now the commodity.
Yep.
It's gonna become the and, and there'll be the people that don't care, right? They'll like, "I don't care, I'll listen to the AI music or I'll watch a
Hmm.
documentary with
Hmm.
AI people," and that's I cringe at the idea of the New York Times running its own list every week of bestsellers written by AI and then bestsellers written by humans.
Oh,
Like,
I
I
know.
really don't want right now, thankfully, in publishing, they scan, there's scanning software, and it's like, "No, you're not doing that here in that way." But there was a huge thing on Amazon with these, AI written books. This guy's done 400 books this year, and this author in the New York Times on Sunday was a very funny, very great piece. Someone wrote a biography of her, like without her permission, like using AI. And this is how, and it was just, so she like tracks him down. I mean, it's a fabulous story about just like, and it's horrible. She's like, this is so terrible. It is the most garbage, inaccurate. Like, she's like, this is my life. Like, I can fact check what's real. And it anyway is a fascinating, beautifully written piece by a human being. And but it will be the differentiator, because I know, like, I don't want to be in a coaching room with a mentor who's a robot. Like, at this moment, that is not appealing to me. And so the realness, like our humanity, our humanness will be a commodity. It will be a differentiator. And so
A
it's
1000%.
exciting. It's actually great for those of us that are willing to go to
I
the
think it
gym.
is our time. I mean, I actually was talking with a client who, not a client, a friend who's a copywriter, and she was worried that AI might kind of
Right.
come for her job. She's gotten more business because she doesn't use AI. I have found I've gotten only more demand because I don't use AI in my content. And again, we use AI in business. I am not ignoring
Yes.
this. You and I are not anti AI. I don't want to work with somebody, for example, who's burying their head in the sand. Who knows what's going to happen over the next
Yeah.
couple of years? Like, those things are coming. But to what you're saying, I think this is, if everybody here is coming here because they want to be a thought leader and they want to get known and they want to get paid and they want to
Yes.
scale, the easiest way to differentiate and scale is going to be leaning into that authentic thought leadership, your original thought, and
100%.
not leaning on AI to think for you.
Yes.
And especially in a world where everybody else is. And I think it can be truly, I'm like, not glad what it's doing for the environment, but I think, thank you, AI, because you're just making my job easier. Because
Right?
most people won't do that. Most people won't do the, as you're saying, the reps and the workout, which means for those who will, we kind of have it easy.
It's being paved for us, and we'll attract, it'll be an attract and repel. The people
Yep.
that just want the AI stuff, they'll go consume that, and that's
Yep.
totally fine, but
And
that's
there's
not
a
our
market for
people.
that.
And then but people that are like, "Oh my gosh, who are those diamonds in the rough?" Like, Kim's actually, I could tell she wrote this,
Yeah.
and there's a human here
And
interacting with
conversely,
me, right? And so that's what's so exciting. And so we can just, like you said, we don't have to be afraid. We can be excited, use it where it makes sense, let it automate, let it free us up from stuff that isn't important to our own brain and our own, contribution to the world, and then be the shining lighthouse of,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
human here.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think I wrote a Substack piece on called 100% human, because when my book went through the software, the scanning software, I got back the report that said 100% human. And I just thought that was hysterical, that 2 years ago wasn't a thing, that
Yeah,
books,
yep,
you would
yep,
not get a
yep.
report from your publisher. It went through like my publisher's Hachette, and they sent the Hachette 100% human like report back. And my publisher was like,
Hilarious.
great job, 100%. And I was like, well, yeah. And you know what? There were slogging days. It was hard. There were
Yep,
moments that were
yep.
hard, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, right? It's like whether the AI could have written it better or not, it's a human that is, there's a
And no one
heartbeat
can
and
also
a
take that
soul.
away from you, I think, which is, to that point as well.
Right.
Okay, I just want to see the comments here. We've got a couple highs. We've got
Yeah.
absolutely authenticity is the only true value
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
So agree with that. A great example of real success with the pull-ups. That's real. Okay, I want to be mindful of your time, and I
Sure.
know I kind of like went down the AI
Love
authenticity
it.
piece, which is I love too. But you have this brilliant work, and I know you're sharing more about this in your book. But you
Yes.
have a process just in terms of how to create that white space and how to come to these downloads. And I know it's also science backed, and I would just love to hear a little bit about that because if we know
Absolutely.
that that authenticity and that thought leadership really is our differentiator, and that is
Yes.
in our opinion, you can also take the AI road and scale to 8 million that way. But I think for the people in our world, that is the best strategy moving forward.
For
Um,
sure.
how how are you creating that white space? Like, talk us through that.
Yeah, well, here's the cool part, right? We said the title today was like how to be the go-to person. And so
Hmm.
we want to be the go-to person. First is we're going to be human, and we're going to do the work to bring in original thought leadership and creative ideas by the method I'll share with you, my favorite one, here from the book. But then we got to be willing to courageous to act on those downloads, right? I call them downloads. That's just the way I like to, we're not downloading from the cloud and AI, we're downloading from our own genius, from source, from our own imaginal right brain. And so the first step is the commitment we've all made here today together, which is we're going to be actual humans. We're going to be authentic where it matters and bring in original thought leadership. That's going to be, like you said, the way is being paved for that to be already there. You're a go-to person because
Hmm.
you're doing, but then we got to do, we get a download, right? And the way I describe a download is that it is an idea, a solution, a breakthrough, a aha moment that arrives from beyond rational ordinary thought.
Yep.
So it's different than I'm going to brainstorm what my next book's going to be. Like I will get a list of things. I could come up with tons.
Yep.
But when I download what my next book is, that's where we get the soul and the heartbeat. It's like, what's
Yes.
trying to come through me on
Yes.
behalf of serving humanity and serving others and bringing forth what I'm here to give.
Yes.
Very different sources of that. Again, right, left brain to make it simple. Okay.
Can I
So
interrupt you just to
yeah,
just to check in for people
yeah,
listening?
yeah.
Is it sort of the difference between, I'm just going to use it because everybody's here on Substack, the difference between I'm going to write my Substack article, sit down, I've got my topic that I have like logically this is the right topic for my content pillars to speak to people versus when you're in, I'll be in the shower or I'll be on the treadmill or I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and you just like you're like nope, and you start writing and it's this thing like we're
Yes.
talking about that
That's a
difference, right?
download, right? And
Yeah.
we know, and Kim, what lets you know, what would you say if you had to say the 2 or 3 things that let me know something is a what we're talking about here, a download, like it's an idea that really came to you that feels inspired versus like a thought when you sit down and be like, what would be a good Substack article that'd be high converting?
So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this as well, but something for me personally,
Yeah.
I've really found is if I always say like trying is trying,
Yeah.
meaning like, and so like if I'm really trying to come up with something
Yeah.
or like forcing it or like trying to make sure that my people really get this or trying to get a client or trying to get a good topic, it'll be fine, but it is not a download. It'll just be fine, perfectly good, okay
Right.
content. In full transparency, I tried because I set up my paid subscriptions this weekend.
Yeah.
And so I just took something I had and I like just put it together.
Yeah.
Like it's perfectly good, valuable
Of
content,
course.
but it's not a download. When I have a download, it's almost like I can't stop myself because this idea is coming. And it's not even necessarily trying. It's not necessarily logical. It's maybe not even the most strategic, but
Yeah.
it is because I'm like, oh, this is the thing I have to speak
Right?
to.
So what I'm
Does that
hearing
make
no,
sense?
it's perfect. So this is up so the neuroscience question behind this is you say like, what lets me know something's a download versus like, I just had a project list and figured out what I was gonna do.
Mhm.
And there's again, nothing there's times when we're just gonna think
Yeah.
of something,
Sometimes we
and
just
it
have to
doesn't
get stuff
matter,
out
and
and
it's
that's
fine.
okay.
But, like, when we wanna download, when we're talking about being the go-to person and the thought leadership and kind
Yep.
of those, like, big ideas or solutions, if you're in a bind and you're, like, in fear. So, exactly what so I heard part of it is that there's a momentum. Kim, when I heard you speak, it was like
Mhm,
there's some
mhm.
kind of energy of almost like, I'm compelled. I can
Mhm,
hardly stop it. It's
mhm.
like
Yes,
this
I
sort
am
of
naked in the bathroom and I should
right,
be
and you're like,
somewhere
"I'm in the
else, and I'm like, "I
shower,"
just
but
gotta
I'm,
write
like,
this." Yes.
literally, like, figuring okay. I actually ended up putting a notepad in my shower, like a waterproof because I
So
would get so
smart.
many shower downloads, and I'd be like and now or like a voice thing, right, to capture them. So, that is one way. Often there's a somatic experience as well. Sometimes we get chills or we get like a sense of knowing or even
Yep,
like an
yep,
emotional, there's like an
yep,
excitement or even tears sometimes. People, it depends. Everyone's unique. So the whole brain question for all of us to ask is what lets me know? Because we've all had downloads. What
yep,
lets me know something is one of those like inspired ideas versus something I just figured out.
yep.
And that is like, and so there's usually somatic and emotional.
I
And
love
for
that.
me, even when I'm thinking from my left brain, just figuring stuff out, which again, I do on appropriate tasks, it's just like I'm up here. I'm in my
Yep,
head.
yep,
And then when a download comes, it is there's sort of like a full body. There's something it feels like it's coming through
yep,
and I almost just know, like you said, even if it doesn't make as much sense, even if it's not the proven strategy, but I just know it's like, oh,
yep,
this is the next
yep,
step or
yep.
this is the thing I'm going to move forward with.
And with the knowing, at least for me, just to piggyback on that, because I think this is helpful for people to hear. I find when that knowing comes through, it is for me. I mean, some people might say like higher conscious. What's her name? Gilbert might say like, it's the collective consciousness,
Sure.
but it almost feels like all of the pieces have been connected. It's like I almost can't stop the train because
Yes,
like there's such a like it's already here and the whole thing is figured out. Like there's just not
completely.
the momentum piece is probably with that, and it's just that knowing it all. But it almost feels like it's coming from somewhere else. Is maybe the
Yes,
piece
well,
I
and
wanted
that's
to
what
land there.
I look, we can if we're a materialist, you would say, again, Jung, Elizabeth, they'd say collective consciousness, your
Yep,
imaginal brain, which is
yep,
perfect. It's all valid.
yep,
I do think of consciousness
yep,
source. Some people would
yep,
say it's God, they're God downloads.
yep,
People
yep.
think of it that way. Some people think it's like from the
Subconscious.
universe. But I definitely just because of some of the things that have come to me on these in these download practices, I mean, they've created miracles, like health
I,
miracles,
I believe it.
incredible. And I've seen this in our clients, right? People have downloaded like how to not have surgery, how to manifest an amount of money that was desperately needed when there was like no hope of money. So we have access to
Yeah,
support and guidance and clarity, whether you want to think of it from your right brain or from
yeah,
consciousness,
yeah.
God. We call it whatever we want,
Right,
but
as we're
we
also
know
only accessing what 10% of our brain. So when we're doing these exercises, we're even if for those people who don't believe in that, like just
yes,
to like
yeah,
practically, like even if you're
completely.
accessing 1% more of your brain instead of AI, right? Like there's something there. I totally interrupted though with this question,
No,
your
no, this is
process,
perfect
but
because we wanna know how to recognize
yeah,
one. Because it's like, well, if we wanna become the go-to people, we want those ideas that have this resonance, that have this frequency, right? And again, it doesn't matter what we where we think it comes from, our subconscious mind, it doesn't matter. It's just it's coming from somewhere beyond, again, like what we're just sitting down brainstorming. So I'm going to give a really simple way to do this that we could all do today, because that way we don't have to think about like, oh my God, I've got to learn neuroscience and, it doesn't matter,
Now
right?
there's this pressure that it has to be a
Right. I got
download
to
or I'm
figure.
not going to be a
No,
thought
this is
leader.
this is Stanford and Harvard research backed. This is, I'll explain the quick science, but essentially, my favorite way is in motion. Whether, again, you're in the shower, where there's water running, or you're taking a walk, but let's just say a walk. So I do this thing called a download walk every single day. And all we start with, the first step is just to have a desire. This is like setting an intention. If you go to a class, a goal setting class, a business thing, it's like, what is it that you want to download? And on this particular walk. So it might be, again, I want to figure out a solution in my business for this thing that I can't figure out. I want to download more. I want to download how to sell out my event. I want to download a new coaching offer I'm doing. Like, it doesn't matter. But you've got to, like, we've got to give the energy somewhere to go. We want to
and
put
also
out the
like that
call.
open loop, right? Like that for
Yes. The open loop. Okay. And then we're going to let ourselves feel some emotion of love for ourselves, for the fact that we have a calling, because love produces gamma waves in the brain. Okay. So our brain operates, I will not go into a whole discourse on the brain states, but if you're a nerd like me, we want to be stimulating alpha, theta, and gamma to get downloads. Alpha theta has long been considered by scientists the genius zone. And then your gamma, when you add that in, that's considered sort of like the God zone or the miracle zone, right? They call it, the Dalai Lama's monks were operating like high, in a study, high out, amplitudes of gamma. And so you don't have to know anything about the brain states. You're just going to feel some love for yourself, that you have this intention, that you're here to be a thought leader. You're just going to give some love to yourself. Then you just start walking. And the key is that not to jam your signal with a podcast, with an audio book, with a phone call. That's great too. I love a walk and talk. I have friends that live in other places. We walk and talk. Beautiful. That's different than my download walks. Download walks for just a few minutes, 5-10 minutes. Just don't have anything going in. Right? We got to have that. That's the white space, including music. Now, some of my clients like to listen to the brain entrainment music, like gamma waves. So we have playlists for that and everything, but I like nothing. Because what we're going to do is become super, super present in the moment. And we are not going to try to figure out. That's the fun of the download walk. You're not trying to get the answer. Back to your point, Kim. We're not trying.
Right. This is not now brainstorm on the walk time, right? The same way we wouldn't like brainstorm in the shower time.
Exactly. So we're not going to, it's frozen in a really attractive place, everyone. That's a
it's okay. Your brain and your thoughts are very attractive, so it makes up for any freeze.
We'll just roll with it. I'm calling my internet company immediately. So just to recap this, you're going to go on your walk. You're going to see if you can keep some open space just for a little bit. And then you're not going to try to figure out the answer. You're not going to try to do anything. You're going to become available, right? Because we're putting ourselves in alpha, theta, gamma state, where we're going to let it come in. We're going to let it download in. That's why we say download, right? And sometimes it comes on the walk, and sometimes it doesn't. It comes later in the shower. It comes in a conversation. It comes in a dream. But if we've done the walk, I have never done this walk and not gotten a download from it, either during or after. And I've taught this now to thousands of people. And so Stanford research shows that if you do this, they don't teach downloads, but they just did a study of people sitting at their desk, brainstorming, strategizing in groups. And then they gave the same group of people, had the same thing they were trying to figure out, ideate, create. And they just had them go on a short walk. It's not an hour, it's a few minutes. 60% more creative ideas and innovative ideas, which is not a surprise, but are we doing it? Right? It's just more, are we doing it?
It's literally that, are we doing that? I think what's so beautiful about what you're saying is everybody has the capacity and ability to do this. It's like working out. It's like eating well. I mean, all of these things I think it's not like crazy, but are we doing it? And do we know how to set the intention, or kind of, are we doing it in I don't even want to say right or wrong, but if we're going on the walk, listening to something and calling that white space, right? We might not be plugged into AI, but we're still plugged into somebody else's thoughts, and we're still not plugging into ourselves, and we're still not going inward, and we're still not able to reach those waves. And I think the other piece that, have you heard the incubation period in your research? You come across that?
Yes,
Yeah, so you're
yes,
also not giving the so just for everybody, I geek about this
yes,
as well. For everybody listening, they've done research and studies, a lot of artists do this, they call it the incubation period. They'll essentially leave a piece of Michelangelo would leave a piece of the Sistine Chapel unfinished, or, I think Einstein did this, he would leave a question or something he was working on unfinished, and then you go off on your download walk or to
yes,
shower or to work out or to sleep,
yes,
and your subconscious mind continues to chew on that and will close the loop. So if you're not setting the intention or
correct.
doing this and creating that space, all of these things are relatively simple. And then having, I think, the trust in the magic that is your own
The
brain.
trust, because that's it, Kim, because we might even do it and then so you just the incubation period is so magical, right? The fact that
It is
we
magic. It's
and
the
even
secret to anything I've
if
done.
someone let's say someone their body doesn't like if your body doesn't allow you to walk, right? You can gamma, I call it gamma walk, you can gamma glide, you can gamma gaze. There's Einstein would do just dreamy, look out the window. Like it's
Mhm,
whatever puts us
mhm.
into what researchers call soft fascination. So it's where we're doing something, but it's not taking again that left brain high beta is the beta
Yep,
high beta
yep,
or the brain waves that we're in for that normal thinking. And
yep.
we want
It's
to
the
get
high
out of
achiever
that.
downshift.
Exactly, exactly. We're downshift. So what's so fun about this, okay, is then it's about capturing the downloads because we get them. And then if we don't register, write it down. Like, again, we have a app now, just like, just put it, it's like voice it in, something it in. So you're capturing because, and then it's like, it's the courage to do something with it. Right.
Yes,
And so
yes.
that's the piece, like what Michelangelo, what Einstein, Hemingway would leave his writing in the
What
middle of
you
a
do
sentence.
with your book.
Yes. Yes. You leave like you oh, and then Thomas Edison had a great one. This is so fun. Um, he said, "Never waste a good night of sleep." And so I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And this is how he would do it.
Yes.
So if anyone heard this, you take your glass of water, right? I've got my little, essences in here. So you have a little, little bit of water and you same thing. You can download through this is how you download at night while you dream. And so you say, "This is the thing I want to download." And you think about it. And then you take, your take a sip of your water, put it next to your bed, go to sleep. And then in the morning, you finish the water. This was just like, there's different, I've heard
I
this
haven't heard this.
from
I
oh,
love
oh, this
this.
is so fun. And so then in the morning you drink, it's a little cup of little shot of water and you drink the rest of it. And the idea that he believed in and that there's even like things about like Mary Magdalene doing that. Like it's just there's like lore about all this. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Einstein, I mean, sorry, Edison, Thomas Edison supposedly every night would say he always gave his subconscious a job. And
Yes,
then
yeah,
he would
I've heard
do the
that.
water and then he'd wake up in the morning and it's like it would download.
That was like the trigger, like the trigger for his brain to
Yes,
like
yes,
access
exactly.
because who remembers what they
Right.
um I love I love that. I'm gonna do that. I I will not geek out on all the brain stuff too much, but there's because we could go down 14 rabbit holes and I want to honor your time and have everybody hear about your book. But I think I'm so grateful for this conversation and for you bringing it here. And I cannot wait for your book because truly, I think, I mean, this is magic. It is magic. And this is what you're describing is also when we think of manifesting. I mean, I think
Completely,
it is
completely.
what you're teaching and talking about is not only how to become known and paid as a thought leader or how to tap into authenticity or better marketing or to write a book or to speak. It is
Yes,
all of those things, but it's
yes,
also tapping into knowing ourselves and the magic of life and manifesting. I mean, there's so much
yes,
it's learning to trust yourself and your own wisdom and to listen to yourself.
yes.
There's so much in what you're teaching that I love and I respect so much. I could honestly talk to you for 6 hours, but
Yeah.
I
We'll
know
do
you
a
have other
whole day.
appointments.
We'll do a workshop
We'll
day
do a
at some
workshop.
point,
But
but yeah,
I know you put this into a book. You have, I mean, you did the work for us. So do you want to tell us about the book and how we can
absolutely.
get
Well,
more of your magic and downloads?
completely. So the book is, it's called The Download. It comes out in October, so that's why I just have the little picture of it here. But here's the fun part. So if any of you listening to this, if you like this idea of going on a download walk and you want to understand, either you like to know the brain science or you just want to know what's the thing that's going to get me more of these downloads and that I can have a fun way, like have a fun way to not think about,
Yes.
oh, I can't use AI. It's like make the workout fun,
Well,
right?
even
And that's
business, right? Like marketing and I have to like create social media content. Like this is
right.
fun.
But this is like to make it fun, to be in your creativity, to unlock your genius, right? So if the book's out in October, right? It's October 6th. So if anyone pre-orders, if you pre-order now, you just go to Amazon, type in the download, Sara Connell, It's there. It's on Barnes and Noble too. But yes, I love this. Some of you are saying, I've had downloads in the shower. Yeah, shower downloads are like walking and shower downloads are like the top two. And so if you want to know more of the techniques, there's 9 different brain activators that can all be habit stacked with things every one of you already do. And you can pre-order the book now. And then if you just send me a screenshot, I'll pop my email in here and we can share it. If you just send me a screenshot of the pre-order, if you order on Amazon, I never like to wait. I don't want to wait 3 months to get something if I'm ordering a book. So we'll send you, it'll have how to get your next download in 24 hours. So it's just a quick little quick guide to show you, here's some ideas, because we're all wired differently. We have like different things. And then there's a 30-day download tracker. And it's brain science based. And so you'll actually start to see the themes. You'll start to see, oh, wow, I am being guided.
I'm obsessed
This
with
is
this.
really, so you can get your tracker. It's just like little PDFs. There's not high tech. We have an app that is in beta and I don't love it yet. And so I'm just like, I'm a perfectionist on that stuff. So we're going to use just the digital tracker right now. But you can all just start downloading now. And then we'll be doing some really fun, more, Substack lives where we like do some of the other practices in real time. So I'd love to get, any of you that want to experience it. I'd love to give you these gifts. I'd love you to hear. It fills me with tremendous joy when someone messages me and says, I just got a download, or I got a download this morning in the shower, and they want to tell me about their download. I could not be, I'm in ecstasy to hear it, because every time we do, we're building faith, we're building that muscle, we're giving ourselves, and this is just super quick, but my son, when he was little, had this very odd, thankfully not serious, it was serious in the moment, but not serious health thing that happened. He was like 2 years old. And there's a thing like little toddlers can get, if you're older and you get this virus, like your body just clears it. But if you kind of get it at that age, your body starts like attacking your white blood cells. I mean, it's kind of scary. And so he got this. We went to the hospital and they said, look, we're going to do this IV treatment. And, just like, okay, whatever works, whatever he needs. So they were doing this. And I just, because I'm a sciencey nerd, I said, tell me what this is, or like how it works. And they said, here's the weird part. We have no idea why this treatment works. We can't figure it out. However, what we do know is that for some reason, putting this IV that's not harmful to the body into this condition, it makes those attacking cells run over here and eat up this IV stuff that we put in, and they don't attack the body's cells, and then it never comes back. Thank God, right? We were very lucky. Yeah. But she said, we essentially have to give it something yummier to eat. And so I always think about that when I think about, I just have to give myself something yummier than defaulting to Claude, than defaulting to AI. I don't need to make this a martyry, like you said, some kind of Luddite sort of thing. It's just, let me give myself a yummier, because to me, when I go on one of those walks and I get a download, or I get a download in the shower,
it's the best feeling.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's magic. Life is magic, and I'm connected and I'm not alone. And like, wow. And ooh, cool. Isn't my brain neat? And so that's what I want for everybody. That's what's going to give us what we need. It's going to help our brain stay healthy, and it's going to give us a human flourishing future, which is what we want.
Oh, it gave me the chills when you shared that story. Your work gives me the chills. And I mean, for everybody here, I know if you're listening as well, you are also a business owner. And so all of this is the kind of stuff, I mean, I think so much about how do we become, yes, known and paid, but how do we do that in a way that feels so good, where we love our work, where we love our business, where we're proud of what the body of work we've created, where we love what we're doing, and what you're sharing and teaching and what your book and your work is about is, it is that magic that gets to be both. This is the future, is being a thought leader, and an authentic thought leader with your own thoughts, right? And tapping into that magic and being able to share it and being human first. Crazy to say that that's the future, but for as much as AI is, so is human. But this is the path to do this, and this is the path that lets it feel good. Okay, we got a literal magic here. Yes, it's literally, like, it literally is magic.
It is.
It's like, and you want, and I want everybody to feel that. I'm getting your book. I'm so excited. We'll make sure everybody has the link for that. So to get your book and to get all of this, we just need to, we'll drop this, because this chat will go away. We'll drop that in the chat. Yes. They can go to your website, and then they just need to email you to get all those.
Yeah, and even you can go to Amazon if it's easier, because everyone, if you use Amazon and it's easier, just one click it. You can do that and just send me. I'll put my I'll give you since the chat will go away, Kim. I'll give you our email, and then you can just say, hey, I got the book, and then we'll send you. Our team will send you all those goodies right away, and so I feel like everybody's start downloading.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Your download, your genius, your magic is magic. And I'm so grateful for you to taking the time to share it with us. Thank you so, so much.
So grateful to be here. I'm excited for everybody.
And thank you everybody for listening and giving us your time. Get the book, get your magic, tap into it, tap into your downloads. We love you all so much. We got to thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Bye.